Hi, it's Mrs. O'Brien here. I'm getting ready to read you a special book, and it's about poetry. But let me show you. This is my home office, and just to show you, this area right here is poetry books. These poetry books I use to read from, or I learn how to teach it, how to write it. It's just for fun, but these are all poetry books. Up here, if you remember, a couple weeks ago, I mentioned in our small group how I use the dictionary a lot. I really like to learn new words, and poetry was one of the places I really needed to talk about and look up words. So this was my old-fashioned dictionary, okay, that I carried around with me in college. This is my old-fashioned thesaurus. Look how thick it is. Remember what a thesaurus does? It's a place you go for synonyms. A lot of times you need that when you're writing. Um, but I'm going to read you a book today, and throughout a couple days actually, called Love That Dog. And it's by Sharon Creech. You know what? The month of April is Poetry Month, which is why we're taking a little look at poetry. Mrs. Benerick and I love poetry, and we love to teach it, we love to talk about it, and read it. It's all good fun. So we're going to read about a boy. His name is Jack. And if you look at the back of the book, you see it says Jack. And then it says room 105, Miss Stretchberry. And then it has a date, September 13th. This book is written like a journal or a diary. So what that is, and you may know, is that it is people write the date and then they'll write about that day or maybe a couple days. They might not write every day. They might write every single day. Anyway, we're going to read about Jack's thoughts through his journal. I'll show you. If you look at the title, you kind of think, it must be about a dog. In some ways it is, but in some ways it's mostly about poetry, about Jack's thoughts about poetry. Here's the first page, the very first page. Oh my gosh, there's hardly any words on it. It's a very easy book to read, but it's really fun. I think I read it the first time I read it, I think I read it in like 30 minutes. But I read it kind of fast. I've read it since, and I read it a little slower. Anyway, I'm going to get us started. First it says, Jack, room 105, Miss Stretchberry, September 13th. I don't want to, because boys don't write poetry. Girls do. September 21st. I tried, can't do it, brain's empty. September 27th. I don't understand the poem about the red wheelbarrow and the white chickens and why so much depend upon them. If that is a poem about the red wheelbarrow, then any words can be a poem. You've just got to make short lines. I'm going to show you that poem that Jack's talking about, the red wheelbarrow. Give me a second. Okay, there it is. There's the poet, a picture of the poet. His name is William Carlos Williams, and you can see the title is called The Red Wheelbarrow. So much depends upon a red wheelbarrow, glazed with rain water beside the white chickens. So Jack had a little difficulty. He didn't really understand what that was all about. I mean, one thing I know and I understand is I know what a red wheelbarrow is. I know what it would look like if rain was on it, and I know what a white chicken is. So, I don't know. What do you think it's about? Are you confused like Jack? Let's get back to his journal. Just keep that poem in mind, okay? October 4th. Do you promise not to read it out loud? Do you promise not to put it on the board? Okay, here it is, but I don't like it. Here's Jack's poem. So much depends upon a blue car, splattered with mud, speeding down the road. October 10th. What do you mean? Why does so much depend upon the blue car? You didn't say before that I had to tell why. The wheelbarrow guy didn't tell why. October 17th. What was up with a Snowy Woods poem you read today? Why doesn't the person just keep going if he's got so many miles to go before he sleeps? And why do I have to tell more about the blue car splattered with mud speeding down the road? I don't want to write about the blue car that had miles to go before it slept. So many miles to go in such a hurry. It might be helpful for us to take a look at the poem that Jack's talking about. Let's take a look at that. Here it is. And there's the poet. His name is Robert Frost. He is a famous poet, and you'll hear his name often when you talk about poetry. Let's read the poem. You can read along as I read it to you. The title is Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch the woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year, he gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds, the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Okay, just want to show you that poem is pretty famous, and a lot of times you'll see people will illustrate that poem. I happen to have this book, which sometimes I have at school. I happen to have it home with me, which worked out really well. But this is very pretty pictures that go along with the words, so it kind of helps you understand that poem. Remember, a poet is writing words so that you try to get your own picture in your mind. So that's what he was doing here, I believe. So let's go to the next thing. October 24th. I am sorry to say I did not really understand the Tiger, Tiger, Burning Bright poem, but at least it sounded good in my ears. Here is the blue car with tiger sounds. Blue car, shining bright in the darkness of the night. Who could see you speeding by like a comet in the sky? I could see you in the night. Blue car, shining bright. I could see you speeding by like a comet in the sky. Some of the tiger sounds are still in my ears like drums. Beat, beat, beating. Now we can take a look at the poem he's talking about, the tiger poem. Okay, let's look at this poem. It's written by William Blake, and there's a picture of him. The name of the poem is The Tiger. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forests of the night. What immortal hand or eye could frame the fearful symmetry? Okay, so again, I kind of get it. Tiger, tiger, I'm picturing that. I'm not so sure I get it by the end, though. So you think about it and what you think about that poem. That's another one that you can find in one of our books at school. It's from this one. We have several of these books in our classroom. So when we get back, hopefully we can see these books and look through some more poetry. But the tiger is also in this book. Let's go on to the next day, October 31st. Yes, you can put the 2 blue card poems on the board, but only if you don't put my name on them. Okay, we're going to stop there. We just read 2 months of Jack's journal. You have some questions or some things you need to think about. So you can go back and listen to the video again if you need to, or just do the best you can. Talk to you again as we continue the story of Jack and poetry.